Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the second episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
Yes.
It's your girl, BD.
It's your girl, Forens.
And I just want to say, actually, before we start, those who are the more sonically adept of you guys may notice a little change in the quality
of
this broadcast. You know? We've got some new mics, and I'm so excited. More excited than I probably should be. So shout out Lloyd for the recommendations.
It seems like we're actually in a studio, kind of,
I feel
like on this table.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're in the living room. So, guys, we're back at you. And we're drinking. I know that last time there was some kind of conversation about drink. I don't know if there was actually, but yeah, we will be drinking every episode we record. So you'll probably hear us get more and more drunk as it progresses, more giddy. Today we're drinking a sparkling Moscato. I'm not going to tell you where it's from because ain't nobody sponsoring us. But today we're talking about...
The Rachel Divide. It's on Netflix, actually. And we're kind of late because it came out in 2018. Although with the whole it's about Rachel Dolezal, by the way. I'm sure everyone listening to this remembers. I remember her being outed. I remember it happening.
Yeah, I 100% do. But the thing is that I feel like there was a lot of conversation about her being outed, but I didn't really know a lot about her.
Yeah, and
so,
that's what this documentary
literally, I discovered a lot about her, and it was very insightful. And my opinions of the whole situation changed by the end.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. But I just want to say that this is quite personal to me because people on social media keep saying that I look like her. There's a particular picture where I have braids or twists. And someone commented randomly, was like, oh my gosh, do you know that you look like Rachel Dolezal?
Do you know what it is?
Is it Dolezal?
It's like Dolezal. They kept saying it with a J.
Yeah.
You don't look like her. You're just
both
light-skinned.
She's not light-skinned.
Well, that's actually very true. Look at me.
She got you.
That's actually very true. I got. That's actually very true. No, she's her skin tone is not dark.
Yes.
Yeah, and she has braids.
Shout out to all my light-skinned black women that have been told they look like Rachel Dolezal.
It's probably just you.
We should start a support group. If you've been affected by Rachel, please.
The themes discussed in this show.
Please.
0800. Get off my land.
So we open up this documentary with a black and white interview with Rachel herself. And she has this ridiculous... I'm just going to try and describe the best I can. She has
her hair.
Yeah.
So her hair throughout this whole
her
thing.
hair throughout this whole... I was just like
I could do a dissertation alone.
Literally. But then I feel like her hair is kind of like... I can't explain it. It's like no black woman would ever have that hair.
No. The kind of black women that would have that hair...
wouldn't be.
These are the kind of black woman who cares much about her hair. So she's going through a lot of effort to have this kind of hair.
Yeah,
and it's like you went through all of this effort and this is the hair that you have. That's why it's a bit
literally exactly. That's exactly the point. And also the kind of black woman that has that hair wouldn't be in the position she is. So it's just like
no black woman would be in the position she is because they're black women.
It's just like, sis, what is you doing? So she has this Diana Ross on crack wig. If Diana Ross ever became a crack addict or whatever.
He just rolled around the grass
literally,
for a little bit.
Exactly, with these blonde streaks in them. And they're the highlights. You know, the famous highlight comes on about her talking about her identity and who she is, and it's black and white interview. And there goes on to be a montage of different Rachel quotable moments.
And the thing is that watching it, you kind of remember some of them.
Exactly.
Some of them were it was almost like a flashback. It was like, oh, I remember at that time.
Literally. I remember, I was watching stuff and I was like, oh my gosh, because obviously it had the famous one of them asking her, are you black? Yeah. And she's like, I don't know what that means.
I don't understand your question.
I don't, sis, are you black?
They were the guy was like,
are you African American?
And there was a silence, which is really awkward.
Awkward, literally.
And then she was like,
I don't understand the question.
I don't understand the question.
And the thing is that
what is there to not understand?
If you're gonna say you're black and someone asks you that question, own it. Just be like, yes. If you're gonna be that deep into your lie, because you can't be.
Yes, you believe your lie. Lie with your chest.
Come with your chest. You can't be doing big pause. And then tomorrow, when there's an interview, you'll come with your chest and saying that you identify as black. We'll get into it, but she just never owned her own thing in her interview. She didn't own her own bullshit in her interview.
But I think that was early on because they kind of caught her off guard because we learn about this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of have that interview at the beginning, and then we have the lead up to that
where
interview.
We got there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the first Do you know what I mean?
Interview. It wasn't even an interview because he caught her.
He
off
basically
guard.
ambushed her.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit about.
Yeah, so
our
I think that's why she was kind of like moving a bit weird.
Yeah,
she wasn't expecting it.
It's true.
Because after that, then she kind of
she fixed up. Yeah. She came with.
Anyway, we're doing not spoilers.
We're doing.
So excited.
So the cinematography now moves to an aerial view of Spokane, Washington.
Spokane spelled Spokane.
Okay.
I don't understand why it's spelled Spokane. It has an E at the end.
I know, but I kept spelling it Spokane.
Yeah, so I know how to say it.
Yeah. But I said that you could tell from the aerial view that it was racist. I don't...
The buildings were racist.
The buildings, the
roads
trees,
were
the
racist.
crickets. Those crickets were saying the N-word, okay? I'm telling you. I could tell that this was a racially charged place, okay, just from there. I didn't know where she was from. And again, this is learning more about her because I had no clue where she was from. Yeah. I just knew that she was from America.
African-American.
African-American. The slave from Africa.
Africa, boy.
So she says. So then we see Rachel twisting braids and ironing them. I have in my notes, then ironing them. What the fuck is going on? Literally, this is how you know she's not black.
It's not for you.
I've never ever seen anyone. Have you ever seen anyone iron braids? You do.
I haven't actually seen anyone. I'm not, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it were a thing, but I've not ever seen the need to do.
I've never seen
do that.
But what is that? What
the
trying
hair
to achieve?
the hair you would get is already the kind of texture that she's trying to make it. No,
but it's even like, what are you trying to achieve by ironing expression braids that you're gonna? And like, she did this weird thing where she twisted them and put them to the side.
Yeah, no, because as if like. I get what she was doing. It's like when you have them like that and then you want to now add them.
To what?
Like if you want to like crochet them.
Oh, okay.
Or like do that kind of thing.
Okay, because
I kind of get what she was doing there. But the thing is, it was just so, like, she's going through so much effort. And one might say, okay, the dedication, maybe someone just give her a card, do you know what I mean? Little black card, let her enter. But it was just sort of like, this is just a whole lot.
It's a lot.
As a black woman, doing your hair is almost like the bane of your life. And it's like you're coming into this to accept, like, you want to be stressed.
Exactly.
I don't understand that.
Literally. I literally didn't understand that whole process she was going through. And I was like, this is just how you know that she's not black. That should have told people alone that she wasn't black, but hey.
They didn't see that, though. They just see the finished product.
The finished product should have told them. It's not like, ooh. Like, here we are.
I never understood why they thought she was white.
No, I did. There were moments where I saw it.
Until today. To this day, I've not seen it.
No, but you know what, mate? Like, when you go there, though, a lot of people there, like, even black people, like, they don't... Some of them will say they're black because they can't trace where the whiteness is from, but they look... all kinds of like
mixed. But she doesn't look mixed. She looks like a white woman. Like, anyway, we'll get into the NAACP member who's like, she looks like a white woman with a black woman's wig on.
In blackface. Yeah,
that's what she looks like. Even at the time, I was like, she's not black.
I saw it, but then she doesn't have a white nose.
She doesn't, but she doesn't have a black nose. She has like I'm white, maybe European, like
that's
or
not
maybe,
European nose.
No, like you know the Germans.
Yeah,
like, them man like.
Hench.
Yeah,
but not black.
Like Miss Trunchbull type vibes.
I know what you mean.
It's not a black nose.
So while she's twisting up this braids, our girl Rachel says,
who's the gatekeeper for blackness? Who can protect it, define it, own it?
Black people, sis. These are the gatekeepers of blackness, not your white ass. Black people. So now we meet Franklin.
Jill, can I say, you know Franklin, yeah? He actually reminds me of Franklin from My Wife and Kids.
I literally wrote Franklin Aloysius Mumford.
Franklin Aloysius Mumford. Like, I was like, is that you?
I was like, that's you,
That's
sir?
what you've been doing all this time.
Literally, I love Franklin.
He's so over it.
He's the last scene of this whole documentary. I was like, bro, I feel you.
He's over it. He didn't ask for this. He doesn't want to be part of this.
He said it. He's like, I don't want this mess. He's like, you wanted it.
I don't this mess.
Literally, like. Franklin. We meet Franklin, and do you know what? Franklin was...
He's Rachel's son, by the way.
Yeah. Franklin was the indicator to me that this documentary was filmed over quite a long period of time.
Right.
Because did you see his physical change?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really notice that.
Oh, I clocked that. I put it down so many times. Like, literally, he looked like a kid when we started, and then obviously we'll get into it by the end.
I do think that the thing about this documentary is that it was really, really slow paced. Mm-hmm. Like... Or not slow paced, it was kind of like slow reveals. Like there were so many things you would watch and you'd be thinking, what is going on? Like, who is that? What is that? What is that? And then like maybe 20-30 minutes later, it would be revealed.
It's like they didn't even explain the relationship between her and all her siblings till like...
Yeah, exactly. But I think they did it on purpose. It's kind of like, this documentary was an hour and 45 minutes.
It didn't need to be.
And it could have been done in an hour.
It didn't. And the thing is that, like, Netflix, like, come on, like, you know how people feel about Rachel. You know what her... We'll get into the book, but you know what her book sales are like. Why did you think that you were going to make, like, There was nothing here that needed to be...
we watched it, so here we go.
Under duress. So anyways, we meet Franklin. He's mixed race. And I think this is something we should kind of keep in the back of our heads, that he's mixed. He's not full black. He's mixed. Indicating that he has one... Caucasian,
one white parent and one black parent.
Just in case you guys,
we'll leave it to you.
We'll leave it exactly which is which. So she wakes him up and they're driving to the airport. And this bit gets to me because they're talking about his summer.
Okay.
Do you remember? And they're talking about his summer, and basically she's like, you know, you've been really housebound, and and Franklin, like, he didn't say it outright, but he says literally just,
"Yep, I've had a crappy summer." Yeah.
Although it wasn't explicit, like, oh, it's because of you, mom. But Franklin very, like, he really, like, you know, he's a sensible, level-headed kid, because I would have thrown a tantrum.
He's, like, resigned to the fact that this is what it is
his
for
life,
right now.
And he shouldn't have to be.
But this is a running theme throughout the whole time.
Yeah, 100%.
So this, everyone in her life is affected
by this.
And this must be the case for, like, famous or more infamous people.
Yeah.
It's not just you that's affected.
It's your family.
If it's you, you're single, you live by yourself, then cool, maybe it's just you directly.
But she has kids, and I never feel like her kids are her priority. But we'll get into that.
I just don't think she's a very likable person.
But likability doesn't stop you from being a good person.
No, definitely.
A parent, sorry.
But as in, true.
I don't think she's a good parent.
As the documentary goes on, it's like, I just don't like... When you like someone, you can forgive a lot of things. Mm-hmm. She's just not a likable
But this
person.
is what I mean about, like, my opinion changed of her. It wasn't for the better.
I mean, it didn't start as the better, anyway.
No, do you know what? When this whole thing happened, because I kept seeing the stuff she'd done...
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I kept thinking, okay, like, fair enough, there's so many white people that appropriate black culture
and do nothing,
to help it kind of thing, like Kardashian. But I was like, at least she did all of these things. And we'll talk a bit about black people that actually come out and speak about the stuff she did.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind her. I was like, oh, she's just a dumb... Like, in fact, my logic was she probably pretended to be black because she thought she couldn't come into this as a white woman and do as much work as she did.
Right.
But then that changes.
Yeah, of course.
So we meet another brother, Isaiah, and...
With a Z.
With a Z. Isaiah is... Franklin's brother, not Rachel's, but then it's weird, but we'll get into that. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense.
This is what I mean by the slow reveal, because Isaiah is blackly black, yeah? He's blackly black. Mm-hmm. And so you see his lower third is Rachel's son. Yeah, his lower third is Rachel's son. They're picking him up from the airport. Yeah. And so you see Franklin, who is mixed race, and then you see Isaiah, who is black, and you're thinking, okay, cool, he's probably adopted.
Literally, I have this.
Because you know, how else?
Like houseway, literally.
Literally.
Genetically doesn't add up. Like, he looks full black, and then his... So, like, Isaiah's just like a quirky kind of black guy.
Yeah, like, he probably, like, wears Vans and, like,
literally stretches out. He does stretch out his ears, actually. I saw that. Yeah. So that's just his vibe. And he's... Also, I think he's very, like... heightened in his intelligence.
I think he's very intelligent.
I'm getting the vibe he's at uni. That's so college for American listeners. So they're now at home suddenly having dinner.
Yeah, well, we just follow them all the way with her cracked windshield.
and one side mirror. Did you not clock the other one's broken?
Is it?
Yeah. And I think they're emphasising this to show that she's struggling.
Yeah, they definitely, because they kept so they're shooting through the front window as documentaries do, like.
But they keep zooming in on the crack.
Yeah, but also there's like bare cracks. So there's no way you can really look through that there isn't a crack.
Just start GoFundMe, Rachel. Honestly, I don't know why she hasn't done that.
But who would give to her?
No, but didn't you see that she has supporters? We talk about that later.
How many supporters did you have?
There was that one woman at the...
Okay, that one woman, please, can you give...
You'll be surprised. So they go back home and they're drinking Kool-Aid and eating watermelon. Just in case you had any confusion.
What? I didn't realise that, you know.
Yeah.
No, you know, the producers were like, hey, maybe you should, you know,
drink some Kool-Aid
and have some watermelon. You know,
fried chicken?
You're black, aren't you?
Fried chicken, cornbread, collard greens. So yeah, they're doing all this, and then there's a gender reveal. This bit really let me know that Rachel is an agent of confusion.
I didn't understand that.
You didn't understand gender reveal, right?
This is the second time I watched it. I was like, oh right.
No, I didn't get it.
Basically, she doesn't understand what things are because she is white. She thinks she's black. She did the reveal as a girl. It was like pink and a tiara and everything.
Okay, literally. So I literally was like, she gave one son a box that had like pink and a tiara, and
so
the
he
other
said
son
it was a girl.
Okay, exactly. So he was like, "Oh, you're having a girl." This was Frankenberry, and then she gave Isaiah a box with blue and then trainers. And then, like, they both open it. And obviously, like, Frankenberry's like, oh, you're having a girl. Then Isaiah's like, it's a boy. Then she's like, oh, it's a boy. Well, thank you for the clarification because none of us knew what the fuck it was. Like, are you announcing twins? Are you announcing a hybrid?
Yeah,
are you... What? Sis, and this is how you know that her whole life is just confusion. Like, a gender reveal is meant to eliminate the confusion.
It's meant to be, like, very simple. And there are only two options at this point. Like, you're either having a girl or you're having a boy. Do you know what I mean?
Literally.
Or you're having one of each.
Literally.
And which is what her gender reveal would have implied. She was having one of each.
Literally.
She's an agent of confusion for real.
That's why I said that it's a theme that follows her throughout the whole documentary and her life.
And she's pregnant, yeah. And I'm thinking, who the daddy?
I was like, as of now, we know none of who any of her baby daddies are.
Like so basically, as you watch this documentary, you just have questions and questions and questions.
Yeah.
But the more you watch, the more they're answered. And I
yeah.
reckon they did that because they know we wouldn't have sat down and watched this whole thing
if it
had we got everything in our first half an hour.
It's true. So as of now, we just know she's gonna be a mother of 3. No clue who. And I thought she was lying about the pregnancy as well, because she lies about a lot of stuff. Because I didn't see a bump. The way the documentary started, she was already pregnant, but we didn't know that.
Yeah, but she starts to look more pregnant. She looks a bit more swole,
She gets more chubby, like, as it will.
like rounded out.
Yeah, as it goes by. But initially I was like, oh, she lying.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think she was lying. Like, why would she lie?
I thought she was having like a surrogate or like adopting a baby, another black baby. But in walks Esther and her wig.
Esther's lower third is Rachel's sister. Esther again is as blackly black as Isaiah.
Literally. So they make sense as that if they were siblings or aunt and nephew, technically. I put down that Rachel and Esther must go to the same wig person.
Rachel probably makes the wigs.
So apparently this is Rachel's sister. That's why I put apparently, because at this point we don't know if anything Rachel says is true or what she...
So for this bit, I saw her and I was like, I don't know if this is like my sister, like, oh, my sister in Christ,
like,
or my sister,
yeah.
or like my bestie kind of thing. But yeah, we found out later.
Esther, I clocked in the second time watching it. Esther came in with a white guy.
Did she?
Yeah. But I don't blame her.
It doesn't really mean anything.
No, it doesn't. I just was like, yeah, she came in with a white guy. But anyway, so she's telling Esther about this Facebook pregnancy announcement. And then she says, fingers crossed it doesn't become a scandal and people can be happy for us. Well, Rachel, the best way to ensure that is to not post it on Facebook.
Yeah, this is really weird. Like, everyone hates you. It's almost as if you like
this was another reoccurring theme that I just couldn't stand about her. It's like, I feel like she's one of those people that feeds off of like attention, like
whether
a
it's negative or positive.
Whether it's negative. Because for me, if I was in such a bad position, precarious, whatever, and I was having a baby, which is a very delicate time in your life, the last thing on my mind would be posting it on Facebook for people to see.
But then the thing is, I understand why she would have posted it on Facebook, because that's sort of supposed to be a safer space, because it's your people, your friends. It's not like Instagram where like any Tom, Dick and Harry can like be on there.
But I feel like the way her Facebook is set up, anyone looks at it, because she's always looking at the comments.
Yeah, fair so.
But yeah, so we cut to the next scene, and again, this bit kind of made me sad. So Rachel's taking her sons to the barbers. Yeah. And they're driving up and Rachel's basically like, I'm not coming out. Like, I don't think it'll be good if I come out. Cool. And there was this theme as well at the airport. She was like, I'm not going to come out.
At the airport, people were like recording.
Yeah, and filming.
It was her and stuff.
And Isaiah wasn't happy about that. Yeah. But he was more from a protective standpoint, not happy. But again, that's another theme that changes in as we progress. So they get up to the barbershop and Rachel's like, yeah, she's not coming out, which is cool. So then Frankenberry doesn't want to come out either. He's like, I don't want to go in by myself. And then she's like, go in with Isaiah. Cool. So they go out. And then you hear the barber, who I don't want to racially profile anyone, but I think he's black.
He's definitely black.
Okay, cool.
He sounds like a black man.
It sounds like, yeah. So he welcomes the boys in. He's like, how you doing? Then he sees Rachel and he's like, you can't park here.
No. We don't know this to happen. Okay, so when I first watched it, I was like, okay, this is rude, isn't it? Because she's just trying to park, like it's not that deep, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, there was no context there. We didn't see him see her and then come up to her and say anything.
Yeah.
It didn't work like that. We saw them get out the car and then we hear audio of the man saying,
would you please move?
Okay, so where do you want me to park is what I'm asking.
You can park anywhere you want.
I just want to make sure that Franca can find me when he comes out.
Well, your son ain't lost. You just move from out in front of my shop. Now.
You can't park in front of my shop. Which could just be, don't park in front of my shop, like leave that space. I don't want you. I don't want anyone in front of my shop.
And it also could be that you're not allowed to park there.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
true.
it was the case. I think they tried to edit it because when I watch stuff like it's like, you know, when you watch reality TV, and they're trying to make you think away.
Love Island.
Yeah, like there was no context behind
and it wasn't
it.
like he walked up aggressively and said this.
We don't know what he looks like. This is why.
Literally,
I mean, it was just his voice. We see Rachel in the car, and then she's like, he's like, oh yeah, like move from out my shop. Like, move from in front of my shop, as in implying don't park. Don't stand here, park here. Yeah, no one should park here.
Yeah, we don't know.
So I don't think it was to do with that. But then afterwards, they show her. She's all upset. She's
literally,
like,
she does this. Woe is me. Like this. Why we stay at home.
And
Okay,
it's not
Jan.
about you. I just think that it wasn't about her. I don't think it was personal.
But why do you? I do think it was about her though.
You think it was about her because the documentary is about her? I think
it was about her because she responded to him and he responded to her.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think he was talking to her,
He was obviously talking to her.
But either
I don't
way,
think it was personal. I don't think he said move because she's Rachel Dolezal.
But then
he said move because he was like, fam.
But I feel like that aggression came from somewhere. You don't
from a black man who's angry. I honestly, when I saw it, I was like, oh, you're trying to play us here. You're trying to play.
I think it was about. I think it was because it was her.
You man watch it and let us know what you think. But I just think it was just he would have said it to anyone.
So after her woe is me, we finally directly hear from Franklin, because all this time, like, we've been hearing him talk to her, but we haven't heard him say anything to the documentary crew.
Directly, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he just goes on to say, like,
all my mom did was say that she was black and people start losing their minds. She's done a lot for the community. People don't bother to recognize that.
And then he says that he can hear her crying, and that makes him really unhappy, and he can't sleep at night. And he was like, he just wishes like all of this stuff had happened when he was older.
Yeah.
And that again was another moment for me where I found it really troubling, because even watching it was I felt like why am I watching this? Like, why am I seeing a child go through this kind of thing? Like, it must be really difficult, because this is him hearing his mum break down and stuff like that. And then he probably gets bullied at school as well about it, and he doesn't have friends.
And it's your mum.
It's your mum. And Rachel's just there like, oh. And it's like, if it was me, I'd be like, you know what, cut the cameras. Like, this is done. Like, there isn't... But she probably needs the money, actually, to fix that screen.
The documentary is about her life, and it's about what they're going through.
Yeah.
So he's just expressing what he's going through. Like, I don't think that's a reason to cut the cameras.
It just doesn't help the situation. I can't see how... Because you can...
Okay, think about it. Now... We've watched this documentary.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a Franklin this whole time. I didn't know there was any Franklin to think about, and let alone know what this Franklin might be thinking and feeling. And now you even just said, like, you're thinking, okay, like, oh, I didn't even think about, like, it's really sad for him. And that's going to somehow maybe make you less about Rachel.
Yeah, but that's us. Think about the wider society. They don't think like us. They're people who now see him as a fresh target to get to her.
Yeah, it will always be that way though.
Yeah.
He was a target beforehand and we didn't even know
yeah,
about it.
It's true, but
he just is now it's just like a platform for him to be able to say like, oh, it's peak. I don't like it.
I just think she should lay low and shut up, basically.
Yeah, how low can you lay though?
So Rachel and her braids can't get a job, understandably. She's applying here, and this again is just like pissing me off. So she's applying to all these black spaces, like for.
Yeah, but that's what she does. Like, that's her role. That's what she is. She's like a black.
Sis, go and wait. Do tables. Like, you can't, like, you. The audacity.
Now.
It's not even just that. The audacity of it to have come out that you have been lying about your ethnicity, and then you think that you're still warranted, like, access to these black spaces. Like, she wants to teach African studies and racial and cultural whatever in all these like unis and stuff like that. These are very black spaces with usually they have black professors and black students. And even if you're not a black professor, you can be a white professor, but you like the audacity of you to have come from a place where people know that you've lied and then you still think you're entitled to these spaces. It's beyond me. Again, it's like that privilege, like you just think every space is open to you regardless of how you present yourself.
Which is so dumb. Like, for me, the main opinion on this whole thing is you can be a white person who supports black people and knows about black culture.
And be white.
Like, you can be white and do those things.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's like you trying to be black about it makes it seem as though, like, oh, white people can't do this, so I have to be black so that I can do it.
It's insulting.
And so it's just so dumb.
Yeah.
It's so very dumb. But yeah, she can't get a job.
Yeah,
long story short.
So we find out that Rachel is still doing hair. I say still. I didn't know she did hair before.
Yeah, we found out
that she does hair.
She said that she's lost loads of friends, but she's not lost a client.
And this again goes to like black cancel culture. We can't cancel shit for shit. Like, literally, you will be bashing her on all sorts of platforms and social media, but you're like, oh girl, I'm gonna let Rachel do my hair. Why?
I mean, I'm sure the people whose hair she was doing were not the ones cancelling her.
You never know what fake account they create to cancel her, but it's just wild to me. Why are people still going to her to do their hair? So she starts talking about Albert after this. So we see her doing like her friend's hair or whatever, or her customer, they're not friends. And she starts talking about Albert. And there's this picture. So Albert is like this older gentleman. There's a picture of him.
The black guy.
Yeah, military uniform. He's black. And he has a white wife, which I think is really key and strategic from her. Because she could never have called a black guy who had a black wife her father, because people would have questioned,
like, straight away, or they would have assumed she just means like, oh, you know, father.
Yeah,
like,
but she needed to validate her blackness. So a black guy with a white woman is more palatable to have a child like her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I
found that very strategic.
Yeah. But the thing is, she kind of like backtracks and says like, oh, you know, like anyone can be a father, but not everyone can be a dad. She doesn't call him father; she calls him my dad. She says that's my dad.
But then two people before this whole news broke, they thought that was her biological father.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, like that's what she would call him, and on social media. And even, do you not remember when like
she had the picture?
Yeah, and the presenter was like to her, "Isn't this your dad?" And she was like, "Yes, that is my whatever." So she was being very elusive about
exactly.
her
then
truth.
She would say enough things, but then she would be able to like counteract the thing, say, "Oh, well, I didn't mean it like that."
Exactly. So, so we introduced, and basically she just says...
One of the people I lost contact with was my dad, Albert. He, like a lot of other people, didn't know everything about my past.
Her father didn't know a lot about her past, which in itself the sentence doesn't make sense. But anyways...
yeah, but she's saying father is in like, you know, we have like spiritual father.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, she's not saying like my. That's what she says. My dad.
My daddy,
she doesn't say my father.
Yeah.
She says my dad. Like my dad. Like my dad. So.
But like, But anyway, so basically the dad, the father, Albert, he doesn't really know where he stands right now, and he's one of the people basically that she's lost since this whole thing has broken. So then we finally meet Jeff Humphrey.
Oh, come on, Jeff.
Homeboy is the infamous reporter.
Jeff does not care.
He doesn't give two fucks. Like, he barely ironed his shirt for this interview. He was like,
he got up, he said, "We gonna get you today.
We gonna get you today." So he's the one that came at Rachel with a picture of her father, I don't know what he refers to her as, and him as, and also was the one that asked him, like, "Rachel, are you black?" And she was like,
I don't understand the question.
So he basically just speaks about how he was introduced to Rachel.
Yeah.
And this was from Rachel, like, reporting to the police that the NAACP mailbox had received some hate crime.
She was saying she received hate mail from like as at the mailbox for the NAACP.
Yeah, so it was addressed to the president, and she was the president of the Spokane whatever. And then and threats as well. And then he didn't believe it. He didn't believe it, basically.
He's not with it.
Yeah, he's not with it. And he was like, it just didn't make sense that she was trying to say that was he saying neo-Nazis or whatever? Like,
she was saying she was getting death threats and people were leaving nooses like around her house and stuff like that.
And like basically he was saying that like it's not that deep, basically what he was saying. Which I found really problematic, but I don't need to touch on that because somebody else touches on that, and then we can discuss that then. So we find out that the police were investigating this, and then they deeped that it had to be an inside job.
The police department had determined that whoever put this hate mail in the NAACP post office box, it was an inside job.
Because the mail she received hadn't gone through the postal system.
The hate mail, had never gone through the postal service for any type of processing. And one of two people had a key to that mailbox, and one of them was Miss Dolezal.
So it's like, Rachel, come on, like, Rach, sis, if you're gonna like create this whole like thing, okay, and this is not to discredit like the racism that goes on, because I know it exists and I know it happens there. And we told you from the beginning, Spokane is racist from the trees. But if you're going to create this elaborate kind of scheme, like, do it with sense. Like, you have a degree, surely you could have been a bit more
like try.
So now we meet some of my faves in this
Kitara!
documentary.
Kitty girl.
And she came with her face beat to the guards.
Wait, can I just say, she had green eyeshadow and green earrings.
Yeah, literally. She was like, I did not come to play. And we meet Latoya as well.
I really like Latoya. I like
Latoya,
voice.
and I like her voice,
really
and I like her passion. She's very passionate about what she's speaking on. And they basically say,
we've had NAACP presidents long before Rachel came here who were darker complected, and they didn't receive that much hate mail. So how is this woman receiving this much hate mail?
And it's not to say that light-skinned people don't get like hate or whatever. Like, trust me, I'm a light-skinned honey, I know. But it's just that, like, especially in America, they are seen as the more palatable form of blackness. So it doesn't add up. Like, there are women who are a lot more like darker skinned.
Yeah, if the level of racism is as you're saying it is, then why is it only
you? Exactly.
Hate?
Literally, like it wasn't adding up. And yeah, she just Latoya especially just went into how like this has affected their movement and what they're trying to achieve for the people, the marginalized people, because it discredits them.
Yeah, Latoya said something and she says,
she created the destruction for any black woman after that because she was pulling this race card.
So the way she says it and what she says is just like, raw, like, you may not think it's that deep, but it's actually that deep. And the people who really, really are affected by this or like care the most are these two NAACP members that we speak to. And it's like, it's more than just, culture vulture and all that stuff. It's the damage that you're having on the perception of the black community. Literally. And almost sort of undoing all the work that you are saying that you've done. Yeah.
Because tomorrow what happens when another like leader goes and actually reports real kind of hate crime, they're going to discredit them because of like look at you lots kind of thing, and it's really mad. Or
the even bigger thing for me is that like you're basically trying to say you're not white, so now white people are offended that you're trying to say you're not white, and then it's like you're trying to say that as a white woman you cannot do the work that you're doing, which is dangerous because white people can do that. If white people want to support black people,
we're here for it,
then they can support them. They don't have to be black to do it. It's like saying, okay, I have to be black to help black people, only black people can support black people.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And it debunks basically the whole theory of equality anyways.
Kitara basically says,
and I didn't want to be mean, but I was like, this looks like a white woman in a black woman's wig.
Literally. And that's what I was saying. Like, there's nobody, like,
these
honestly,
wigs, honey.
Who is it that saw Rachel Dolezal first time and thought, oh yeah, black woman?
I did.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
When it first came out, I was like, I can see how they fell for it. But then when it came out, like, I don't know. But yes, sis, these wigs. So now we have our girl Sandra Williams. She's a journalist. She's black, and she wrote a story on Rachel, and we see the headlines, and it's one side is Rachel in all her whiteness, and the other side is the black Rachel that we see now. And you know, she said something that of the story of Jeff that really bothered me. So what she says was,
what bothered me though about the way the hate mail was handled, it was as if there was a need for Spokane to act like that never happens.
And that bit was what bothered me about what Jeff said. It was like the first reaction was, this never happened, so we're going to look for all ways to, because to be honest, reporting a hate crime shouldn't result in your whole life story being exposed. But they did that because they were looking for ways to belittle what she was talking about, which in itself is problematic. I'm not saying Rachel isn't problematic, but the way in which all of this stuff came about was extremely problematic because it was used to discredit like the conversations that were being had. It's
twofold, and that's really sad. It's twofold because the stuff with her family that they mentioned later, and then it's the police stuff. I mean, and also the fact that she's lied in the past. But that doesn't mean, just because she may or may not have been lying about it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen and it shouldn't be addressed.
Literally. And like Sean Vestow, another journalist that also speaks, he basically says like, there is racism in Spokane. Like they had a Martin Luther King rally and like someone tried to bomb it, and he says he has received similar hate mail to Rachel.
Similar writing.
Literally. And he was like, two things can be true at the same time. Like Rachel could have lied, but it doesn't dispute the fact that there is racism in Spokane. Okay, so now suddenly, like, we see Franklin with a camcorder, and we're not really sure what was going on, but they're packing.
Oh, I didn't even write anything about this. Go on.
And then we discover that they're going on the reel, or she's going on the reel, and she's done a painting.
Sorry. Before we get into the reel, can I just discuss the conversation that she has? Because this happens before. She's talking to her friend, Siobhan.
Oh, I didn't even discuss that.
She's talking to her friend, Siobhan, and Siobhan, I just don't think Siobhan really cares about her friend, her alleged friend. Like Siobhan says,
since everybody hates you anyway, then more so for you to be yourself.
And Siobhan's just over it.
Rachel says something that's very like, you know that Mean Girl scene where she's like, I wish we could all bake a cake, and just, it's very like kumbaya, like how can we all make peace? And the friend's like, the fuck is you talking about?
Rachel's like, oh, you know, how can I fix this situation? And Siobhan's like,
move to Mars.
Move to Mars.
Literally. And
Like, throw that whole friend away. I'm not gonna lie, she does not care. Like, she's over the bullshit.
No, but
she's seen this enough time. She doesn't care. And if I were the friend, I would throw myself away.
So Franklin Berry has this camera, and he's recording, and they're going somewhere. And they're packing, and we don't know where they're going. And then it turns out they're going to the real.
And you know this is old because Tamar's still there.
Yeah, I put it down. This was like when Tamar was still there.
Yeah.
And they go on it, and she's wearing this deep, like, ginger wig with no parting. I am confusion.
Which of her wigs had partings?
So we see the interview with the real, and they tore her to shreds, basically.
But in a nice way. I think Lonnie is doing Lonnie. Lonnie's always extra anyway. Like, she was just.
But she asked some really inappropriate questions.
Yeah, she was doing a lot.
Yeah, Tamara was really nice.
Well, she's always nice. Too nice. She was like, "What does being black mean to you?" And then Rachel's like,
Blackness can be defined as philosophical, cultural, biological, and I think you do have to kind of like walk the walk if that's who you are.
Like, when people just put words together
and they're not making sense. Like,
you're not
saying
saying anything.
A lot, but you're not saying anything.
You're saying a lot, but you're saying nothing at all.
Absolutely nothing. Fam.
Literally.
That was that whole interview.
And then Tamar.
But that's all her interviews. Have you got?
I mean, because what can she say? And then Tamar is like, "Oh, so you feel like you walk the walk of a black woman?" And Rachel responds, "Absolutely."
And then the audience is like, "We are about to.
We're gonna rush you. We have to rush you now."
Jordan Courtney, literally, like, she was about to be finished, barbecued. So I think we have a breakthrough moment during this interview, because I think this is one of the first times that she admits. She's like, so basically, Rachel says,
right, and that's why I said I acknowledge I was biologically born white to white parents.
And honestly, I think it's a struggle to argue with this point at this point. So when I was watching it at this particular point, I was like, you know what, fair dues. I can't argue with her, kind of thing. People are born a lot of ways.
How you feel.
Literally, and they identify completely differently. But then a bit later on, there's one. We back! I was gone, but I'm back. So now she's back home. She's finished the reel. We don't see how she gets home. We don't know what happened, but she got home.
No, you want to see her flight? I don't understand where you went from this. It was already at an hour 45 minutes.
I'm just trying to tell the people what we're seeing, okay? She's back home with Isaiah. Isaiah obviously didn't come with them to the reel, but Frankenberry did. And it wasn't a good experience. So Isaiah's basically saying how, like, the reel lured her in, promised her that it was going to be like a safe environment.
Which that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Literally, and it wouldn't surprise me, but also, like, how safe
also, she's dumb. Like, why would you put... There's black women on that show. Like, did you not think...
Even if there were black women on that show, she's been torn to shreds by white women, but the point is, like, how safe can the environment be when you're talking about such a controversial issue?
And you're the only one that has the views that
literally,
you have.
You're the only person. It's not like they brought a panel of people with mixed...
Exactly.
You are, like, exactly. We see her later on at a completely different event. The vibe is different because there's someone there that... Do you know what I mean?
That relates, yeah.
So how... It doesn't make sense. So basically, like, Isaiah's kind of in, like... He's kind of basically saying, like, listen...
What you doing?
Sis, you need to stop doing these interviews. Like, that, he says it without saying it. Like... They keep telling you,
why are you doing this?
Yeah, like, and this is what I mean. They keep telling you it's going to be this way, but it isn't.
It's not. So is it that you are going to try and prove a point or explain yourself, or is it that you just want the attention?
Literally, and then she basically just says, like, oh, like, even Franklin, he wanted to come out and rush people when they were getting onto, because apparently Lonnie said to her, like, oh, what is it that you like about being black, the men? And that's really offensive. Like, she shouldn't say that.
I mean, her child is mixed race, so...
But
she likes the men. But she likes that man.
But she likes black man because she's black. Like, we like black love because we're black. So that's what. So if she identifies as black, she do you know what I mean?
I mean, no,
even what she said about the baby as well. So was the baby black?
I think Lonnie was out of pocket in that interview.
Yeah,
and I think she just stays out of pocket. That's just where she lives.
Yeah,
but
that's her.
So yeah, I mean that's her vibe. So you know. I don't think she was right at all. I'm not team Lonnie. Yeah, but I'm just not team Rachel.
Yeah, but basically, like, she was basically saying that Isaiah was, like, really annoyed. Franklin was really
of course,
annoyed.
And Franklin's really intelligent. Like, he's not some little kid that doesn't get it. Yeah,
I was so dumb at that age. He's really intelligent.
I wasn't dumb.
Actually, we don't know what age he was, but I'm guessing he was like
13.
Okay, yeah, 14. I was dumb. Yeah, I wouldn't have had the emotional intelligence he had.
I definitely would have.
No, you don't. You don't even have it now.
Oh wow.
Basically, like, she's saying, like, Franklin didn't want to go to school, and she's, like, laughing it off, and it's like, this is not a joking matter. Like, what about here is, like, stand-up comedy?
What can she do? Because all of this is her fault, and it's not going to change. So the only way that this will change is if she denounces her blackness, which she refuses to do. So next we get this collage of like news clips, yeah? And they're basically sort of talking about like transgender, transracial, but like basically identity and how people identify.
And how it's changed.
And how it's changed and continues to change. And then someone says,
race in this country is constructed based on a complex and interwoven set of factors. It's not a hairstyle. It's not an affinity for a music.
And then we kind of start talking about Caitlyn Jenner. So they kind of like compare. I think it was kind of smart to do this. They compare.
Smart but problematic for.
Yes, exactly.
But I understand. I agree and understand.
And it's because there was no answer that it was problematic. Do you get what I mean? So one guy is saying quite eloquently, actually, yeah. He's saying so Caitlyn Jenner was born a man. And then she saw herself as a woman, and she's now a woman, and we all accept her as a woman. Rachel was born white. She sees herself as black. She now identifies as black, and black people have a problem with that.
Yeah, so that's where the buck ends.
Yeah.
But there are women that have a problem with Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah, true.
Because when I think about, like, people say, okay, the struggle is what makes you black. There's struggles you go through as a woman.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Caitlyn has lived her whole life with white privilege of a male.
Yeah.
And then...
Without my privilege. Yeah.
So it is true. And then so I think it was this clip where this woman said this thing, and this exact, she was talking about being trans, and she was like, my transness is like how I feel. Her blackness is performative. And this theme comes up again because it's like, in your head, you have an idea, because you're not black, you have in your head an idea of what...
be black.
Literally.
Here's my checklist.
Exactly.
Tick, 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 tick.
And you... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is when I started to sway back to, fuck Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, I was never fuck Rachel, but I was just kind of like, fuck this, because.
But you know, it's not just Rachel what she did. It's like her whole being.
But this is what I was saying earlier.
Like,
she's not a likable person.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a nice person. Like, even if she was white and she was like, I'm a white woman, I love being white.
Yeah.
You still wouldn't like her because she just, I don't know, she's just a bit off. And you know, when you hear about the family, like you kind of get it, but still, she's just
loopy.
Yeah.
So now we find out that Rachel's writing a book. For the freedom of her and her kids, Harriet Tubman. So just lay low. This is what I was trying to say to you. It's like every second when this thing seems like it's dying down, she's like, ooh, let me do something else. And then people start talking about me. Like, and none of this thing is making you money. She has lived, her screen has not been fixed, by the way. She still has the same cracked, like, car screen. Like, so this...
It's true, especially if this was filmed over a period of time, yeah.
They could have been, like, giving her payments, like, small.
Yeah, maybe.
So then now we finally get some answers to questions we have.
Oh, yes.
We start to see stuff about her childhood. So her parents are Ruth Ann and Lawrence. And they look like extremist cult members. They look like a cross between...
They have a Confederate flag in their garden.
I didn't see it.
No, they don't have one. Well, maybe they do, I don't know. But they look like the type
to
have
that.
Yeah.
But they seem like they'd be a cross between, like, in the 70s, you know, like the Charles Manson family meets, like, the Jim Jonestown church people. Like, it's that kind of vibe, like a crossover, extremist, white.
Yeah.
It's weird. Just looking at them, you can see her childhood would be troubled. She goes on to say how her mum had a really difficult childbirth, and it kind of made her the marked one, like Cain or something.
Like her brother, who's older than her. Yeah. It was textbook. They didn't need a midwife. Everything was great.
Yeah.
And then when it came to her, it was really difficult.
Yeah.
And her mum nearly died, and so she was
the midwife was Jesus.
Yes.
It's literally on her birth certificate.
I didn't know that on your birth certificate you have to put the midwife who attended.
I've never seen
they
a birth certificate.
They put Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but they put
Jesus Christ.
Jesus is upstairs like, I was busy that day.
He said, I had no parts.
I have no parts. I was at lunch that day.
Jesus said, who?
And I
don't know who this man is.
Sorry to that man. So yeah, she just goes on about her childhood. It was the ghetto, Suddenly, out of nowhere, her parents say they were moved by the spirit and they're adopting all these black babies. Okay, Brangelina. Like, suddenly the family pictures go from 2 like white parents and 2 white kids to like all these black babies. So it was Ezra, Isaiah, and Esther. Ezra.
Rachel, we'll get into Ezra. Rachel says
it became evident that white babies were going to take longer and also be more expensive.
So as a result, they adopted the black kids. That's why they adopted the black kids.
I know, but like it's like the expensive bit was questionable to me because are they paying for the kids or is it the expense in adoption?
I was confused because I was like,
I am confused.
Do you have to give them money for the baby?
How can that?
It's like if God is saying to you like adopt, is it by force? Is God saying adopt now? Like you must adopt this second. Or
like it literally didn't make sense. So Esther pops back in again.
Oh yes, did we say that's so the Esther and Isaiah were the 2 black kids.
Yeah, so so again, like if they haven't explained that how Isaiah is her brother's son, but We now know that he's her brother son. We haven't had an explanation, but this is what's happening. We're going with it. So Esther, Isaiah, and then Ezra. But there's another one.
There's another black one, but
we
they
didn't never
meet him.
That he wants no parts. He's like, sorry to this family.
We don't meet him.
Literally. But Ezra isn't black. He's mixed.
Is he mixed? He looks kind of Jewish.
No, Ezra's black. He's mixed. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. Go back and watch. He's mixed. But he's probably half Jewish. But he's mixed.
He looks Jewish.
But I think he has like a disability or something.
Yeah, I think so too. But he's black. He's got black in him.
He's black.
He doesn't look like it.
You go back and watch. He is.
You was for Rachel look black, so I don't believe you.
He's probably like blonde hair, blue eyes, and I'm like, he's black.
Yeah, Ezra's a snake, man.
Yeah, Ezra's a big snake. You can see the parents got him. They got that one. Like they molded him into what
they really all went through some shit.
And more than they're even telling us.
It really.
He internalized it, and he probably gravitates towards him. Like, you know when you like, it's like the Stockholm syndrome. Yeah. So he's a snake.
You know the bit where Esther's like, Esther says,
They just tried to raise us to be white. We were just white people with skin conditions.
There was no pride in being black. Like, there was zero cultural understanding. They were just like these white kids, but their skin was different. And I can't imagine, like, because they were obviously like treated differently.
You obviously know that you're black.
But you may not, because you don't know what blackness is if you're not exposed to it. You know that you're different.
This is why with the whole Rachel thing, I didn't want to like hate on her too much, because part of why she started this whole
is a disassociation.
Well, there's the disassociation with her white parents because they're trash, but then also there's I want to learn about this blackness because my siblings are black and they're not being exposed to that culture. Do you see what I mean? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But then you don't have to be black to do those things. Yeah. It's like everything that she's trying to do is kind of like, okay, cool. Like, that's okay.
It's like it's weird.
But you don't have to now morph into a black woman to do these things.
It's like, it's all from a good place, but it's just the execution
the intentions were good, but she fucked it.
I don't know. And we start to see like these pictures of Rachel from her childhood where she's like milky skin, blonde hair, blue eyes. She literally could have played Mary over and over again in the Nativity. Like, she is the image of what they had Mary as. So you really start to wonder how she got to where she is today. So we learn from Isaiah, Esther and Rachel that their parents were physically and mentally abusive. They were getting beaten, and there was like a bamboo whip in South Africa, and Esther literally physically has scars.
Yeah, we see them,
and then Rachel basically tells us as well that on his back Isaiah has like whip marks.
Do you know when Isaiah says,
"Whatever you understand, it is the one job of a parent to give your child a childhood they don't have to recover from, and if they have to, then you done messed up." And that's something
that for me sums up parenting to a T. Yeah. You should not bring a child into this world unless you know you're in a position to give them a childhood where they have no scars.
I think not everything is under your control, right? But once a child is here, you do your best to ensure that they don't have to recover from the life that you gave them.
Literally.
Do you know what I mean?
Things will, like, shit happens.
Different. There's being poor and not being able to buy Nikes,
and then there's
being poor and being beaten up and whatever. Literally. And the thing with Isaiah is that I think it's so much deeper than we're hearing here. Like, it's deeper than rap.
You can tell that he literally bottles it.
Yeah, I feel like he's because the way that it is as well, it's almost as if like the producers wouldn't even ask him anything else because they just would feel like he just wouldn't respond.
And again, it was such an intimate moment as well. I kind of didn't even want to watch it because it was like you could see the pain in his eyes, and I wish
it was like so much was being said and he didn't say anything.
And I wish I hadn't have been there to see that because
like I didn't really deserve to be part of this.
I didn't deserve to like.
It was
see that.
Really like sad.
Finally, like Rachel explains how Isaiah is her brother's son because she took custody of him.
Yeah, she adopted him
after all that happened. And then again, you see this moment where you're like, "Rah, Rachel!" Like, it's a big thing to do, kind of thing, to just take on a kid. And she already had a kid herself, and I think, judging from what she says later on, she had gone through a divorce, was going through one. So
yeah.
She took this boy on all by herself and raised him, and that's no easy thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So
like, she's not. I don't think she's a bad person. I just think she does dumb things.
Yeah. And I think this is the moment in the documentary where we see why she's disassociated herself from her whiteness.
Yeah, it kind of makes you think, okay, I'm not saying it's right, but it's kind of it kind of explains.
And it's not like, and people could say, well, she could have just disassociated herself with her family, but then you need to understand that people outside of her family were perpetrating this racism and treating her siblings as differently, and she didn't
did a
feel
whole 180.
Literally,
like,
she
I want to
didn't
be the opposite.
Exactly, she didn't feel that way. Like, she was going out checking books to understand the culture, to teach it to her siblings more. So she probably, I don't know. Then we get a montage of different drawings that Rachel has done.
I think she's good, you know?
Oh no, I think she's really, really good.
I really like the art that she was doing.
100%. Like, I'd buy it on the low. I'm not gonna lie. I'd buy it, but I'd buy it.
If she gave it to me, I would definitely have it in my house.
So then we find out now a bit more about the family situation.
Yeah, trigger warning, guys.
Yeah, serious trigger warning. It's seriously disturbing. So, and it's also like, I can see it. Do you know what I mean?
I believe it.
I believe
100%.
Just from the pictures alone, I believe it. So yeah, we find out that Rachel's testifying against her biological brother, the white one, just to put it out there, in a sexual assault case, because
that Esther has filed.
This piece of shit was like molesting Esther when she was a kid from the age of 5. And Esther was going and telling her quote unquote mum, like, this is going on. And the woman was like putting soap in her mouth and telling her to like
to stop lying
and wash your mouth. And yeah.
Do you know that there's a bit where we see like the document, right? So I paused it to read it, and then the name is like redacted, and it doesn't look long enough to say Esther or Rachel. I think it's Ezra. I think that some stuff happened to Ezra, but he's like denied it or not really speaking on it.
Maybe that's why.
And that's why him, because you know it seems like there's some kind of attachment there, but he also seems like he had a messed up childhood as well. And I was looking at the documents and it had all these like redacted, and it wasn't, the redactation was not long enough to be the other people's name. It was only long enough to be Ezra.
Yeah.
So I feel like stuff happened to him as well.
And then he came and then
he just denied it and wasn't trying to be part of it. Whereas Rachel and Esther were part of the lawsuit. And that's why this whole thing sort of came out about her being white, because they were trying to discredit her for the lawsuit.
Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
And he probably has serious Stockholm syndrome.
I mean, it might not be, but like I think that something dodgy.
Something dodgy probably happened to all of them. I think Isaiah too.
Yeah,
that's why I can't talk about it. Like, he probably still lives in that house, Ezra.
Mate.
Basically, Rachel is part of this lawsuit because she's coming and saying like, yeah, he did this shit to me as well, like guilty as fuck. And yeah, it's just sad.
It's really sad.
Obviously, basically the family hired a private investigator to dig up shit about Rachel. But I find this a bit weird because it's like, if you want to tear someone down and you already know that she's white, why did they need a private investigator to do that? That was enough. Did they not think that was enough ammo?
No, yeah, they just come out as her parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just deep that now.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't know that it was that deep.
They got too much money, man.
Yeah, so they probably thought like, we need to find more. But yeah, I literally said like, I don't know how you could hate your child this much to this extent.
I just said to myself, why did they adopt all these kids? Like, but
I've got to hear that it's savior complex.
Yeah.
You can see it in their eyes. They're like, oh, look at us, these white people taking care of all these black babies. I don't want to say the word they probably did say in their heads, but it's savior complex. And when you look at them, you look at these like from the outside looking in, you probably think, oh, these lovely white people, like they even adopted like the black kids. So I just wrote like Ezra's jarring in this next line. But now that you've said that, I feel a bit bad because he probably has Stockholm syndrome.
No, he is definitely jarring.
Because he basically said,
the facts remain. 2 things can be true.
2 things is true. Our homeboy earlier told us 2 things can be true. Like literally, because he basically comes out and says, well, Esther lies and Rachel lies. So put them 2 together and what do you have? A lie. It's like,
quick maths.
If you don't get the fuck. Oh gosh. So we hear from Franklin again. He's got his black shirt on and his jeans, looking cool. And he's playing the guitar, which is again lovely to see that he has like that creative side to him. And it's also lovely to see him in a relaxed environment when he can do so. But then I think this is the beginning of a change in opinion of Rachel from her kids.
Yeah.
This is when there's a shift.
I think this is when they start to think more about themselves and
less about her.
I don't think that the opinion shifts. I think that initially it's like, oh, I feel so bad for my mom. I feel so bad for my mom.
I think opinion shifts.
But now it becomes, okay, how am I going to navigate this?
Yeah.
And as a result,
And also, it's like, what is she doing to help me navigate this? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
So he's basically just saying that, like, everyone at school has at least one friend. And because American schools can be, like, cruel. Like, I feel like in the UK, it's not as bad.
Oh, I think kids are just evil everywhere. I think so, man.
But, like, he's basically saying, like, everyone at school has at least one mate, but he's, like, a lone wolf because of all Rachel's shit. And
to
she
be honest, like, if my kid wants to be friends with Rachel's kid, I'm not coming to Rachel to do up, hey, girl.
And, like, she won't stop, basically. Like, she just keeps going. So it's not even helping diffuse the situation at all.
That's what we were saying before. Like, the only way to make Franklin's life better is for Rachel to say, do you know what? Cool. I'm white. I've had my time. I've stopped playing now. I'm white.
But I feel like even that within itself, like, she doesn't need to do that. I literally just feel like if after that shit happened, when she got found out, she resigned, whatever, if she had just stopped talking, stopped tweeting, stopped Facebooking, stopped Instagramming, and literally found like a secretary job, just done that and stayed at home, people would have moved on. Literally, it's because she keeps seeking out this story.
Low-key.
Literally, like, she doesn't even, if she really feels that she's black, she can live in her blackness, but just do it in fucking silence, fam. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
We now learn a bit about Rachel's ex-husband and her baby daddy. So he kind of looks like, do you watch 90 Day Fiancé?
No, I only watched the what's it,
Michael. He looks like Angie.
They got married, didn't
it? Yeah. He looks like Michael, but taller. It's the same bald head, like very African.
He's better looking than Michael.
Yeah, slightly better looking, but I mean, it's the same vibe.
It's not easy to.
It's the same vibe.
to be better.
Yeah. No, but I'm thinking Michael's looking a bit better now. Anyways,
married life.
So basically, he's black. Okay. Remember in the beginning we were saying like her son is mixed race. So now I hope you can identify who the white parent is because
now we know that dad is black. So that means the other parent must be white. But who am I?
Okay. Who am I to judge? Who am I to judge?
What do I know?
So basically, she implies that this guy likes her or liked her because she was white.
Right.
And then when she started to, I didn't even know how to phrase this. I don't want to say acting black.
To blackify.
Yeah. When she
as the transition towards blackness began.
that's it. He started to kind of like, he wasn't liking it. Like she was wearing dashiki, going to Howard. And
but do you remember what I've said? Yeah. So like, if I'm gonna date a white guy, I'm just gonna date the white guy because that's just the guy that I want to date.
Yeah.
I don't need you to be doing Azonto in the rave and doing up with Dashiki.
Yeah.
Because if I wanted to be with Azonto Dashiki dancing guy,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be with Kweku.
That's true.
Do you know what I mean?
But then
I'm gonna be with Kwame.
You're not date, but then it's still problematic to date a white guy for his whiteness.
No, exactly. But the thing is, when you date a black guy, you're not dating him for his blackness. You're just dating him as the guy, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm dating a white guy and like he's trying so hard.
Oh yeah.
To do up blackness.
About it like that. I didn't think about it.
He's trying so. What I'm trying to say, he's trying so hard to do up like quote unquote blackness.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, cool. Then I'll just be with a black guy then.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean?
It's true. 100%.
That's probably how he felt.
Because
like,
it comes across as
you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's not to say that white people can't Azonto if they want.
Yeah, and it's a different thing if you met you doing
Azonto
Azonto babe in the rave and that's your vibe.
That's just what you like.
Yeah,
cool.
But then for you to start doing Azonto babe when you're with him, it's a bit.
It's like, hold on, this ain't what I signed up for.
It's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
because I literally wrote that like that was she made it seem like he wanted a trophy white woman. Like
maybe that was the case. We don't know,
and that's a very coonerific statement.
Yeah, definitely.
Literally, it's
because
a big.
Then we would be mad at both of you.
It's a big coonegation. Okay. Yeah. So Franklin goes off with his dad, basically. And I kind of just was thinking to myself, like, why the hell, like, doesn't this boy just go live with his dad? Like, what situation does he have that this boy can't live with him? Because
it was true to escape all of this,
yeah,
right?
If it was me, I would bring
even
my child.
Over the summer, you go stay at your dad's house. If you go to school by there, you got friends
or like
there,
he can move to school just near his dad. Like, there's no need for him.
No one's gonna miss it by his current school, anyways.
Like,
yeah, it's true.
Okay, so suddenly Rachel's had her baby. Like, she went from like being 6 months pregnant to then having a baby, which is fine. I guess nothing really happened in the 3 months or maybe she took mat leave from the doc. Who knows?
Mat leave for what? What was she doing?
And she has her braids, her 2 sons, and the baby in the room.
Beds, yeah, at this point.
Literally. And like, I kind of think she looks black in this scene, no? You don't agree?
Next.
She has brown braids. They kind of look good.
So Rachel is explaining that in the state in which they live,
she calls her son Langston. We didn't say that.
She calls herself Langston.
Langston. She calls her son Langston.
Yeah, like after Langston Hughes.
Yeah.
Langston Atticus.
Because she's
Langston Atticus Dolezal.
Remember before she was saying that like she wants an ethnic. Was
yeah,
just say ethnic name?
A historic, a black,
a
name of black historical
But
significance.
not a name where he can't get a job. That's what she said.
And then Frank is like, "Oh, call him Devante." And I was like, "Sir."
And as he's eating his watermelon and sipping his Kool-Aid, like Rachel's explaining, like when you have a baby in Washington, that state, the baby has to conform to like the mother's race.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the father. Doesn't matter what the dad is. So
what the mom is, the baby.
That's what you is. So Rachel is like struggling with her blackness here.
She is Krabs. She does not know what to do.
Mr. Krabs spinning.
Honestly.
So she's like, she says she doesn't want to whitewash her baby, and she doesn't want to like run away from her blackness. But she doesn't want to put the baby as white. But then if you lie on a legal document...
Yeah, so if you can get charged for falsifying a legal form.
And
it's a felony.
So you within yourself, you know that putting on your black is a felony.
The fact that, and this is the
fact that you're having this...
This is the bottom line. The fact that you're having this problem...
It shows you that you know what you are. Like,
you know, we went through 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Of you denying.
To get here, just to be like, you know, sis.
So anyway, she marks black and white on the thing. I don't know what that's meant to mean. Is it meant to mean she's biracial? Is it meant to mean what does this mean?
She's both black and white, but she's not mixed race.
I'm every woman.
So she picks black and white, right?
Yeah.
And then she says that she feels that that's the truth for her.
So
and
what does that mean?
You know in Love and Hip Hop when they're like, speak your truth. It's the truth. There is the truth.
There
you're black or you're not.
White.
It's not, to me I'm black. But
then, like,
what is that?
What she says that's the truth for her, but like, as you're saying that, like...
To you,
like, literally, but sis, are you saying you're mixed? Like, what is you do...
She's saying, I'm white to you, but black to me.
To me.
Therefore, black and white.
Oh, I don't know how they put up with this shit. So this is a really, really key part for me because Rachel is now at this transparent event in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Uni. And she's here to speak about race. So she's on stage with this guy called Ronnie. We're going to get into Ronnie. So Ronnie says to the camera in a confessional,
I was born black. I was born male. I'm still inhabiting this body. But from as early as I could remember, I didn't align with that.
And that's fine at that point. Because we're all thinking, okay, so maybe he feels like he's a woman. Cool. So we're back on stage. And Ronnie says,
black and male is how I'm coded on the outside. But on the inside, I have felt more white and female, believe it or not.
There's a cis in this group of like audience, whatever, and she literally looks up from what she's typing and she's like,
she's very loose.
Yeah.
She literally looked up and she looks around like,
is anyone hearing this?
Yeah, like, did anyone else hear this?
But then, literally, they showed like a black guy and he put his hand.
Yeah, he was like, "Father God."
Everybody is like, "The fuck is going on?" I wish
I experienced it.
Literally, I wish I could present to you like their faces. It just was crazy, and that was literally my reaction. It's literally just he's like the black Rachel. Like,
this is like the safe space that she's been wanting for these interviews,
and it was safe.
It was safe.
It was safe because she wasn't attacked.
This is what I mean by she's not likable, because even when like people were talking to her and sharing their very valuable and eloquent opinions,
she wasn't having it.
She was just kind of like rolling her eyes and just looking very disinterested, and it's almost like she wasn't listening to learn, she was just listening to respond. Literally her useless responses.
That's literally my whole point with Rachel. Like she doesn't care about the stuff she's being told that can help her improve on even the work she's trying to do. All she cares about is getting her point across, because she feels so validated and sure of where she is, which is why like in the end the documentary like almost ends with like a question that the documentarian asks her or says to a point that they make, and we'll get into that. So basically, the second Rachel starts talking, hands go up. And Rachel's doing that whole thing again that she does where she's saying a lot, but nothing of that. Like, literally, Ronnie is the only Rachel apologist that is in the room. And it's not like they hate her. It's a very safe space. But they just need to G-check her. So 2 black women in the audience are there to G-check, and they basically just say to her, like, they have the right to call themselves black women because they've earned it.
Yeah.
They talk about like the struggle they've been through and what it's been like, and
she
it's
says
like
she said you've been through like an initiation process.
Yeah, literally.
Rachel says, "Oh, what did she say?" She said something like, "Oh, what is the initiation process?"
Yeah, and then they start to explain all the stuff they went.
She says,
discrimination in stores, discrimination in school, discrimination among black people and how they feel about one color versus another, job discrimination, racial profiling, being pulled over by the police. That is my experience.
She reels off these,
everything.
She doesn't even breathe.
Literally. Even when the other one took the mic, she said,
and
another one. Hitmaker.
And another thing.
She dropped an album. But Rachel wasn't buying. She wasn't having it. She was like, well.
That's what I'm saying. She was like rolling her eyes. Like,
literally, she was like, I'm sorry. Like,
she said, I'm sorry if my being black.
She was like, and I was like, literally, I can't stop being who I am to freedom. And then.
If you say, I'm sorry if. Don't apologize to me because you're not ready to be sorry.
Literally. And then like one of the women basically says to her, like, and I must say that even as a black woman, I don't believe like your blackness, your only, I don't know how to explain it. I don't think that the only way you can be black is through struggle, because I didn't like the fact that everything they said was struggle.
No.
So I just want to get that point out. But then basically the other woman says to her like, you could achieve so much just being you and coming from a place of, this is my journey, this is all that I went through, and this is why I want to be an ally. Like, but you're not doing any of that shit because you're sat up here trying to fight a fight that like nobody's
so dumb.
It's
futile.
But literally, she was like, and it makes me deep that like for Rachel, this is not about the betterment of black people. It's just about her literally. Because if you cared about the black people, you'd be doing what you. So Rachel's back with this wig, and it's a mess as per usual.
You know, if you watch nothing else of this documentary, just watch this scene.
Just watch this scene.
Just watch this scene.
But I must say, she's looking snatched. She's lost all the baby weight, and she's talking to her agent now about her book. And basically, all 30 major publishing houses have turned down.
Oh, this is not the scene that I meant. Sorry.
What scene did you mean?
When she was cutting her hair.
That's at the end.
Yeah, sorry.
So basically, she's talking to her agent, and all 30 major publishing houses have turned down this book.
Surprise.
Surprise. Yet, she is still pushing through to freedom. No, she's still pushing through, and it's not everybody that needs to push through. Like, sometimes just let it go.
But she actually has nothing else. You were even saying, like, what's she doing? How's she making money? And this is like hope. So to do the two things, one, to have the attention that she wants, and to also be able to like explain herself and all that, and then two, to potentially make money off it.
I don't know. I guess.
Why else would she do it?
She's just continue making hair. So Isaiah and Rachel go to view the Howard campus. And this bit, again, is another moment where it's quite sad. So,
Isaiah's just like, I need to disassociate
But then I don't know why he went with her.
I mean, that's his mum. You're looking at it like, oh, why would you go with Rachel Dolezal? That's your mum. When you went to uni, going to uni, did you not go with your mum?
I guess. But if my mum was in that situation, I'd be like, no, it's calm. I'll go with my sister Esther.
But also she went...
What's Esther doing, fam? She don't help out with the kids. She can't babysit now. So Rachel and Isaiah go to this campus to Howard, yeah, and it's a HBCU, just for some context.
That Rachel went to, actually.
Yeah.
When she was white.
But fun fact.
When she was white.
Rachel sued them as a white woman for discrimination. So I think they didn't want to let her in or something, and she sued them for discrimination whilst she was white. And suddenly she's black now.
Life comes at you quick.
I am confusion. Our sis Rach is walking around, and she's not my sis actually. Sorry, our homegirl. No,
she's all that is you.
Rachel is walking around, and people start asking like, "Oh, are you Rachel?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." And then people start taking pictures of her, and it's like, again, it's like, okay, you want to be there for your son, I get it, but you could have taken off that stupid wig that everyone knows you by. Okay, you all know the wig. It's like, I got black kids haircut kind of wig, but in
Afro
4, exactly. You could have taken that off. You could have just had your natural hair out. I say natural hair. You could have just had your hair out, sis. And you could have just worn glasses. You could have worn jeans and a top and just looked like a normal person. But no, you had to go in your full Rachel, like...
I think that's unfair because she is who she is. So to her, why am I coming in disguise? I think she should have just not gone.
But I agree with not going.
I
But
think she should
in
just
the
not
event,
go.
but in the event that Rachel will go, as she always will, like it's like a celebrity. Like celebrities go places all the time, and people don't even know because they don't celebrity when they go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she will go somewhere, and people asking her, she could have said no.
But she said, come on.
I would have said no.
Yeah, and I'd have been like, okay, lies.
I
would have been like, Rachel's trying to pretend that she's not Rachel.
I don't know, but she could have just not Rachel'd, man, all over his day. Like, this guy's just trying to get a degree. So sadly, we see Esther and her blue wig, and the case has been dropped, which is really unfortunate.
It's really, really sad, yeah.
It is, and like, she doesn't have as much venom, or not venom, but she's not, there isn't as much disdain for Rachel as you see with the sons, but I guess that's because she doesn't spend as much time with Rachel.
Yeah, I guess not, yeah.
But you can see that she's affected. Like, her case has been dropped because...
And no one else is
literally, she's
pick
been
it up.
like writing the DA. Nobody wants to pick up. Nobody will touch it. And it's weird because I knew that Rachel had like a bad name in the black community, but I didn't know it was this bad in the white community.
And also in the law enforcement community.
Yeah. For them though, it must be personal because it's like, you're one of us and you're making our lives.
Yeah, but then also like you're wasting our time with these false claims.
Yeah, claims that they already probably don't even care about.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now they're having to leave their donuts and go check out a mailbox. So then we see like different montages of like interviews regarding like her book that she's done. And then Dr. Phil says...
In the book, she compares herself to a slave and talks about how she fantasized that she was kidnapped and taken from Africa.
I do think that...
Is it crack? Is it crack that you smoke? What?
I do think that these kind of shows want to sensationalize things. And so
I almost want to read this book because it sounds like a comedy.
Maybe you'll be number 542. I do think that they will sensationalize things and that they will not discuss the context behind certain phrases. Like, it's not, I don't think it's beyond Rachel to say something as mad as that. But I do also think that like with the negative press that she had...
No, do you know what? Remember back to when she was typing the book, there was a beginning of escaping Africa in my head. So she wrote it. So it's kind of rounding up now and we're outside Rachel's house and it's like spring or something. And the on-screen text says her book only sold 596 copies. Like, sis, was it even worth it? By the time the agent takes his cut, like, what are you getting, a $10 check? And then from there, like, you have to pay your taxes.
596 copies.
Like, we need to work out how much it is. If you're selling it at $12.99 a pop, like, what are you earning?
Not enough.
Not enough to warrant like all of this.
It's really sad though.
It is. So I actually.
But she didn't capitalize. She should have written that book at the beginning of this onslaught.
Yeah, but then it takes a while.
It's been like a year. Well, she fumbled the bag, didn't she?
But that's probably why she kept trying to have this thing stay in the media.
Relevant. Yeah, maybe actually.
And again, that's still warped because you don't care about like actually getting on with your life.
True.
So I died at this next scene because it's a very waiting to exhale moment, and it's like, what is she exhaling? Because I had hope that this was the moment where she changed. So Rachel chops off all of her braids. This scene is like literally waiting to exhale.
If you watch nothing else,
watch this. Literally, like, and it's funny because there's a tweet floating around the timeline and it was like, why do bitches always cut their hair whenever they go through a personal crisis?
I've been that bitch.
Literally, she cuts her hair and I'm like, okay, maybe she's cutting it because she finally just wants to have like white people hair.
That's what I thought.
Literally, I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Finally.
We've been through all, it's been an hour, 40
and
minutes.
we got there.
And we're
I was like,
here.
it was worth it. But no. She takes out the braids, dyes the hair.
She just at this point, you know the Cynthia doll? That's exactly
literally,
what she
but
like.
black hair.
I was going to say she's not black.
So she takes out the braids, chops off the braids, dyes her hair black.
Yeah.
Then she gets black expressions, and this is when I was like, oh shit. Like, we can't catch a break in this documentary. You see the dangling piece of the black expression and you're like, fuck me. She starts braiding the front of her hair.
She does a whole lot. She does a whole lot.
A whole lot. Puts the... You are into her. Did she do it
she
right?
She basically... It's like, you've got a wig, yeah? Like, you know them like, what they used to be called? Them like, no, it was not a U-part. It's like the one that before they invented the U-parts.
No part?
It was just like a wig. One of the ones that your auntie plops on her head, yeah. And so she braided the perimeter of her hair. And then braided another one. And then sewed on the wig cap onto the back one. And then undid the plaits of her hair to sort of blend it a little bit. It's that kind of wig.
And then she laid her edges. the wig itself, it was
All
like
the
a
wigs were
mop.
Higgy Hagger, man.
I can't believe you go through all that stress for that result.
Yeah.
Like, that was the most problematic thing of the documentary,
Like, if
actually.
you're gonna do up blackness, yeah, can you with some vim?
Like, she would have been more believable as a black woman if she had, like, a laid, like, curly wig.
No, then she would just look like a white woman.
But do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, the point I'm trying-
yeah, I know
she
what you're
looks
trying
like like forcing this blackness that black women aren't even. Who has that wig, like, in this day and age?
But think about it, she's only been black for a few years.
It's true.
So
maybe
we're back where we were, exactly.
Literally, so maybe the next 10 years she'll finally catch up to us.
Remember, she's maybe about 4 in her black age.
It's true. Actually, she's 5. But
yeah, she's 5 in her black age, yeah.
So she puts on this black wig, okay, the worst part of the whole scene.
The worst wig of the documentary.
Pops her lips when you've got lip gloss on, and then looks in the mirror and says something. And like, you're watching it, you're like, what the fuck? She always talking.
I didn't even hear that she said
literally, she's always talking, so you don't know what she's saying. But she left the house anyways. And then she goes to the DMV. And so, like, I'm so disappointed because I thought we were having an awakening at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, then you realise she's still on some bullshit. Because she goes to the DMV, which is, like, their car, whatever, like...
Yeah.
And then she goes to change her name.
She goes, yeah. You see her ticket number, yeah? And then the ticket people call her number. Cool. And then she gets to the counter. We don't really know what's going on at this point. We're kind of like, okay, cool. And then the guy and the woman's like, oh, can you just confirm, this is, the name that you want to go for. So at this point, you're kind of like, oh, she's changing her name.
And I thought she was doing it for, like, Isaiah's benefit.
Yeah, I thought she was doing it as in, like, so, like, my identity, it's easy for me to try and get a job or whatever. And then she's like, oh, yeah, so how are you pronouncing this name?
Nkechi?
She's like, Nkechi. I was like, first of all,
bitch, I am an Igbo bro from Anambra. It is Nkechi.
I was like, first of all, she's like Nkechi Amari Diala, and then she's like, is that Dala? She's like 2 L's. I was like, sorry, this just became your name.
She had all the aggression of like an angry white woman.
She was like a Karen. Like she was.
The white jumped out. It's 2 L's. Actually, like, where's your manager?
I screamed.
I literally screamed. I was like, so we thought that we were having an awakening, but no, you're delving deeper into. She really wants to be the African slave she was talking about. So
I screamed.
When we go back, I now deep. So when the second time I watched it, I realized in the mirror she said Nkechi. So she looked herself with that black hair, and she's like, I've now become.
She had to pick the kinkiest hair,
literally,
to go with.
First of all, this is such, as an Igbo woman, I'm so offended. Anyways, again, it's this performative stuff, because why are you doing this for us?
I mean, this is even worse now, because
she's deep.
I say the name Nkechi and then you come. I'm just like,
if
right?
you say Nkechi,
I don't actually think that you're black. So now I'm thinking, okay, so how did you get this name?
If you say Nkechi 3 times in the mirror, Rachel will come. Oh my gosh, now she's trying to hoodwink all the job people.
I was very done at this
employers point. And literally I just feel like, again, like if you're doing this for the benefit of your kids, like other yourself from them, like doing it on public. Now we know you're Nkechi, so it's like, what was this all for? So anyways, the documentary's pretty much come to an end. We just see,
thank God,
we just see Nkechi pushing her son Langston in a pram through the neighborhood, black wig still firmly on her head. And that is it. That is what's the name of this documentary again?
The Rachel Divide.
That is Rachel Divide.
The Nkechi Divide.
Nkechi.
Yeah, the documentary was so long. But the thing is, I enjoyed it because you learned a lot and it did give you perspective. Like, I still feel the way that I felt at the beginning, but it did give you perspective.
Now because before it was like, okay, I feel this way, but I don't even know why. But now it's like, oh, I can see why you're crazy.
Yeah.
Now I can actually see the strain of crack.
Now I can justify why I feel this way. But the next documentary we're gonna do is The Pharmacist. Now there are 4 episodes, I think. So we're gonna split it in 2. We're gonna do the first 2 episodes in part 1 and the last 2 episodes in part 2, and that will be after this comes out.
If you make it this far.
Yeah, if you're still here. You can catch us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at 2girls1doc, DOC.
Mm-hmm.
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Miss BD.
I am on Instagram and Twitter at 4ends_ for Twitter and 4ends with 2 underscores for Instagram. We also have a Facebook, guys.
Oh yes.
And we'd love for you guys to create a group and start conversations about the documentaries and share other docs and just get to know each other in between the sheets. of the dock.
Okay. Guys, make sure that you subscribe on Apple
Spotify.
On Spotify. If you just follow us, please.
And SoundCloud if you
you can listen. I don't know, can you do stuff on SoundCloud? What do you do on SoundCloud?
Follow.
Do you? Okay, yeah, follow.
But then after like us, it goes into like Roddy Rick. What's that song? This
is the trailer for The Pharmacist. So enjoy.
I'm Dan Schneider, and I'm a pharmacist. I can almost remember every piece of my life. I have hundreds of hours from wiretapping phone conversations about what happened to me. My son was murdered buying crack. The police have the attitude that these kids maybe got what they deserved. But I was determined to get the killer off the street. And if the police wasn't going to do it, I was going to do it. At first, my mission was to get justice for my son. But then I started noticing in the drugstore a lot of kids around my son's age coming in with high-powered opiate prescriptions for OxyContin.
Word on the street was it's just heroin and a pill.
There was a certain doctor using her license to virtually decimate my community. I couldn't look the other way.
There was a rumor that there was a pharmacist making a lot of noise, and that's not good for business.
He had questions all the time. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that?
There were boxes and boxes of materials.
All right, Dan. We're not being recorded again, are we?
No. The DA and FBI was either incompetent or in cahoots.
I just knew that people were making money.
If there ever was a smoking gun, that was it. I am being followed.
He sounded crazy.
I think they're waving a gun at me.
Well, to God, and hopefully anybody else who hears this, because I'm losing it.
And I saw this opiate epidemic in its infancy. I'm not going to let this drug continue to kill.